Good morning, class. Yesterday we were discussing in general about the orthomyxoviruses. We have discussed the properties, pathology, pathogenesis of orthomyxoviruses, and the replication cycle of orthomyxoviruses. So today we'll discuss the two very important diseases caused by these orthomyxoviruses having zoonotic potential and very much importance in the human pandemics as well. So let's start with first with equine influenza. uh, Now, with the introduction first, this is economically important acute respiratory disease of horses that occurs worldwide except in Australia, New Zealand, and Iceland. So this equine influenza is basically a respiratory disease. Influenza virus है, orthomyxoviruses हैं, basically they are flu causing viruses, and influenza viruses. So they are basically uh, those viruses which cause infection in mostly the respiratory tract. So these are uh, viruses causing respiratory diseases in humans as well as in animals. So this equine influenza is economically important as well, and that's acute respiratory disease of horses, and it occurs worldwide except in Australia, New Zealand, and Iceland. Now there are two immunologically distinct subtypes of influenza A viruses which are described in the horses. This means the first virus is that which was isolated from horses in 1956, and that was designated as A slash equine slash prague 156, and that type was H7N7 जिसे influenza A और equine 1 भी बोलते हैं. So this was the first virus. This was as given this name as per its pandemic or its occurrence outbreak हुआ था in Prague in 1956. So there it was first isolated. That's why it has been given this name, and this was its serotype 1. That's why it's been given name equine 1 और इन्फ्लुएंजा ए वायरसेस. हम जो पढ़ रहे हैं दैट क्लासिफिकेशन उसमें इन्फ्लुएंजा ए वायरसेस आर the important ones for your veterinary point of view. Baki rest of the classes, that is influenza B and influenza C viruses, they are basically human pathogens. Now this was the first virus, and another was isolated in 1963 in the USA, and it was designated as A equine Miami because that outbreak occurred in Miami in 1963, and that serotype was H3N8 जिसे इक्वाइन टू इन्फ्लुएंजा ए स्लैश इक्वाइन टू से भी डेजिग्नेट करते हैं. सो दीज आर द टू इम्पॉर्टेंट सीरो टाइप्स of influenza A viruses. Equine influenza A. First outbreak was of equine 1, that was H7N7, and second was of equine 2, which was H3N8 serotype. Then, infection or vaccination with one serotype subtype does not induce protection against infection with the other subtype. Important point to be noted that these two subtypes are different. In vaccination, if we go for vaccination with one subtype, it does not induce protection against the infection with other subtype. Now, although the last outbreak of the disease was attributed to influenza A or equine 1, it occurred in 1979. There is serological evidence that this subtype continues to circulate in the horse population. So this is very important, that equine 1, that type is very important because it is the predominant of both the subtypes. Now talking about the epidemiology, outbreaks, they are associated with the movement and assembly of horses for basically for shows, sales, racing, or training. When there is assembly, large gathering of these horses, outbreaks occur in those wherein large gatherings are there. Then the initial source of infection, it is often a partially immune horse shedding virus without showing clinical signs. Now, equine influenza is a highly contagious disease, and it spreads rapidly among the susceptible horses. Very rapid spread is there, and highly contagious diseases it is. Large quantities of virus, they are shed in aerosols by the frequent cuffing of affected animals. Then the infection, it can be acquired at distances up to 30 meters. Aerosol transmission है, and large quantities of virus, they are shed in aerosols by frequent cuffing. So maintaining a distance is very important because it's highly contagious disease. Then indirect transmission through contamination of clothing, equipment, and vehicles, it can also occur. Now we'll talk about the pathogenesis of equine influenza. That's The virus, it replicates in the epithelium of the respiratory tract. Respiratory tract, whole of the respiratory tract is involved. If we talk about the upper as well as lower respiratory tract, virus replicates in the epithelium of both the upper and the lower respiratory tract, resulting in the destruction of ciliated epithelium, and there is hypersecretion from the submucosal glands. So basically this infection, it causes inflammation which leads to the serous nasal discharges, and the most important changes, they occur in the lower respiratory tract, which includes laryngitis, tracheitis, and bronchitis. Then secondary infections, they can also resulting in conjunctivitis, pharyngitis, bronchopneumonia, chronic pulmonary disease, guttural pouch infections, purpura, and strangles. Strangles, again, very important disease of horses. Secondary infection can lead to strangles as well. So basically, it's an acute respiratory disease. So replication of the virus, it occurs in the respiratory tract, both upper as well as lower, which results in the secretions from submucosal glands. Inflammation is there, serous nasal discharges are there, and both the tracts are affected. जिसमें से ज़्यादा changes जो होते हैं, the most important changes, they occur in the lower respiratory tract. Then talking about the clinical signs, incubation period is very less, that's up to 2 days. Affected animals, they develop high temperature, nasal discharges, and dry cough. These are the common symptoms, signs and symptoms. Then other symptoms includes anorexia, depression, although common, they can vary in their intensity. Ocular discharges could be there. It could also result in limb edema and stiffness. It may also be present. So these are the main clinical signs. Then age and previous exposure or vaccination status may influence the severity of the clinical signs and the likelihood of secondary bacterial infection with the development of respiratory complications that may also occur. Then exercise, it exacerbates the clinical signs. Exercise should be prohibited if an animal is infected with equine influenza. Rest should be given to the animal, because with exercise the clinical signs become more exaggerated. Animals which are with the mild infections, they usually recover within 3 weeks, but in severe cases, several months may be required for convalescence. So these were the major clinical signs and symptoms. Now talking about the diagnosis, first of all, we need the sample for diagnosis. The best material for viral isolation from horses is the nasal mucus, because it's a respiratory disease. Serous nasal discharges are there. So first and the foremost material for virus isolation is nasal mucus, which should be taken early in the course of infection. Or if animal has died, then lung material that could be obtained at necropsy. These are the suitable materials for viral isolation. Then this virus, it replicates well in the 10-day-old embryonated eggs. We can go for isolation in embryonated eggs using either the amniotic or allantoic route of inoculation and incubating it at 35 to 37 डिग्री सेल्सियस फॉर 3 to 4 days. प्रैक्टिकल्स में जब आप लोग पढ़ोगे आपको पता चलेगा हाउ वी गो फॉर वायरस आइसोलेशन एंड आइडेंटिफिकेशन. बेसिकली हम वायरस को आइसोलेट कर सकते हैं यूजिंग 3 रूट्स. अब जैसे आप बैक्टीरिया को आर्टिफिशियल मीडिया पे ग्रो कर सकते हो, वायरसेस के नॉट ग्रो इन आर्टिफिशियल मीडिया, दे रिक्वायर लाइव सेल्स. तो उन लाइव सेल्स के लिए वी हैव गॉट थ्री थिंग्स जिसमें हम वायरसेस को कल्टिवेट या कल्चर कर सकते हैं. फर्स्ट कुड बी एम्ब्रियोनेटेड एग्स, chicken embryonated eggs. Second, they could be grown on cell culture system, tissue culture or cell culture systems. And third thing is you can go for using then we can go for using laboratory animals. So these three things we can use for virus cultivation. First is your cell culture medium, laboratory animals, and embryonated eggs. Now the same it can be done in cell culture systems, including chick embryo fibroblast and the canine kidney cell line, which is MDCK, Madden Derby canine kidney. So these are the systems wherein you can go for virus cultivation. Then another is virus replication. It is detected by the demonstration of hemagglutinating activity in the harvested amniotic or allantoic fluid or cell culture fluids, and isolates, they are identified by using hemagglutination inhibition HI test using a panel of subtype specific reference antisera. Now the serum used in the HI test must be pre-treated in order to remove the non-specific inhibitors. So you can first cultivate the virus in the specific or suitable embryonated eggs, chicken eggs, or cell culture systems, and then You can go for harvesting that fluid or cell culture fluid, and go for detecting the virus using HI test. A commercial diagnostic kit is available. It's been developed for the detection of the nucleoprotein of human influenza A virus, but it can be used for the diagnosis of equine influenza as well. Now, the treatment and control part. Supportive therapy is needed and rest is indicated for the affected horses. Horses में वैसे भी they are very much sensitive, और उनमें जब भी ऐसे signs and symptoms आपको show हो, then just go for providing rest to the animal. And the antiviral drugs, amantadine, rimantadine, they can be used. They have been shown to be effective for inhibiting the replication of influenza A viruses in vitro. They are being evaluated for the therapeutic use. Now, talking about the control part, several inactivated vaccines, they are available commercially. However, the immunity, it is usually short lived, and booster injections, they are required in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. Then the incorporation of polymer adjuvants or Quil A based immunostimulating complexes. These are basically adjuvants or some complexes which are incorporated into vaccine preparations, which are basically useful for extending the duration of protective levels of immunity. Now, the vaccinated horses, they generally exhibit milder clinical signs and they shed virus for shorter periods than the unvaccinated animals. Now, in addition to the vaccination, control of equine influenza, it requires isolation of the affected horses and cleaning, disinfection and isolation of infected premises. So control part mein basically we have got vaccination first and the foremost thing. Second is sanitation, sanitization, isolation of the animals, cleaning, disinfection. Then animal movement, it should be ceased until the contaminated premises, they have been cleaned and disinfected. So this was about the treatment and control part of equine influenza. So another important disease of animals having zoonotic potential caused by orthomyxoviruses is your swine influenza, which is also called as swine flu. So basically, this swine flu, this is a respiratory disease of pigs caused by same the type A influenza viruses that regularly causes outbreaks of influenza among the pigs. Now, the swine flu virus does not normally infect humans. However, human infections with the swine flu do occur, and the cases of human to human spread of swine flu virus, it has also been documented. So, this is a very important disease. Even more than the equine influenza, we need to know about the swine influenza because outbreaks have been recorded of the swine influenza. Then swine influenza के introduction से start करते हैं. This highly contagious disease of pigs, it occurs worldwide. And swine influenza, it was first described in 1918, the major pandemic. Its occurrence was coinciding with the major pandemic of human influenza. That was a deadly pandemic of all the times, killing millions of people. And this swine influenza was first described in that year. It was coinciding with the major pandemic of human influenza. Now, there are two co-circulating subtypes named as H1N1 and H3N2. These two subtypes are endemic in pig population. Among the pig population, these two subtypes, they are endemic. Now, the two distinct variants of swine influenza virus, both of H1N1, अभी हम सिर्फ H1N1 फर्स्ट टाइप की बात कर रहे हैं, इसके भी दो distinct variants are presently circulating in the world. The first variant was found in Europe, except in the Italy, since 1979, and the second variant, it is found in the US and Italy, which is similar to the classical strains of the swine flu virus. Now, swine, they may also be infected with H3N2 strains as well, either from humans or birds, but such infections, they are inapparent. So the first subtype which is circulating in the whole world, that is H1N1 subtype, very important subtype. Do remember this strain of swine influenza, that's H1N1, deadly strain. There is convincing epidemiological evidence to support the view that transfer of virulent subtypes from pigs to humans, it's a major factor in the emergence of pandemics in the human population. So there is documented or written evidence of human transmission, pigs to human transmission of this swine flu. Now, let's start with the epidemiology of swine influenza. An outbreak of swine influenza, it is usually associated with the recent introduction of a pig into a herd. That pig may be infected pig or carrier pig. With the recent introduction of pigs into the herd, outbreak that is usually associated with the introduction of pigs. Now, the virus, it is shed in higher concentrations in the nasal secretions of infected pigs. It spreads rapidly within a herd. These influenza viruses, or they are highly contagious, and they can be spread. They spread rapidly within a herd, and they are also shed in higher concentrations. Same like equine influenza. The principal route is by direct contact, airborne spread between the farms. It may occur under suitable weather conditions in areas with high pig densities. जहाँ पे ज़्यादा pig population है, airborne spread is there, and it also depends on the weather condition in that area. Then outbreaks of the disease, it usually occurs when environmental temperatures they are low, mostly low temperature के time पे outbreaks usually they occur. Now between the outbreaks, it is probable that the virus circulates in herds without evidence of clinical signs, and that some animals they remain carriers for many months. Now, swine flu in 2009, last it was recorded in 2009. In late March and early April 2009, cases of human infection with swine influenza A, this subtype H1N1 viruses, it was first reported in Southern California and near San Antonio, Texas. Other US states, they have also reported the cases of swine flu infection in humans, and cases have been reported internationally as well. So this was last in 2009. Then swine flu, it differs from human flu. The H1N1 swine flu viruses, basically they are antigenically very different from human H1N1 viruses, and therefore vaccines which are used for human seasonal flu, they would not provide protection from H1N1 swine flu viruses. Another important point to be noted here is that these H1N1 of humans is different from that of H1N1 subtype of swine influenza viruses, and the vaccines for humans, they do not provide protection to the swine flu H1N1 type. So do remember this is very important. Then outbreaks among the pigs, they normally occur in cold weather months. जैसे मैंने अभी बताया आपको that low temperature is favorable for the transmission of this virus. So outbreaks they occur in colder months, and sometimes with the introduction of new pigs into the susceptible herds. Studies, they have shown that swine flu H1N1 is common throughout the pig population worldwide. So this is a worldwide occurring subtype of swine flu, that is H1N1, with 25% of the animals showing antibody evidence of the infection. So do remember this H1N1, इसके outbreak भी हो चुके हैं, and that's highly prevailing subtype of this swine flu. Now, talking about the pathogenesis and pathology of swine flu, infection is limited to the respiratory tract. The lungs, they are the major target organs. Now, following the infection, virus, it multiplies in first upper respiratory tract, nasal, tracheal. अब lower में भी multiply करता है, that's bronchial epithelium. So, upper and lower दोनों ही tracts में virus multiplication is there. Now, the spread of infection throughout the respiratory tract, it results in necrosis, extensive mnemonic changes, and consolidation. Lesions, they are often limited to the apical and cardiac lobes. So lesions will be seen in apical and cardiac lobes. Extensive mnemonic changes, consolidation of lungs might occur. So lungs, they are the major target organs of this virus. Now the acute phase of the disease, it persists for more than 72 hours, after which the virus replication declines. So acute phase, it persists for more than 72 hours. जिसके बाद ही virus replication it declines. Now the clinical signs include onset of the disease in a herd is often abrupt. Many pigs, they becoming clinically ill simultaneously. So that has a rapid spread. The virus is rapidly spreading. So many pigs, they become clinically ill simultaneously. Incubation period, it is up to 3 days. Severity of the illness, it ranges from subclinical to the acute phases and is strongly influenced by the strain of infecting virus. जैसे सबसे deadly और worldwide occurring strain is H1N1. So severity, obviously it depends on the strain of the infecting virus. Then secondary infections, secondary bacterial infections, frequently they complicate the course of the disease and also delay in the recovery. Secondary infection के chances अगर बढ़ जाएं तो it might delay the recovery of the disease. Now acute disease, It is characterized by huddling in groups, paroxysmal coughing, dyspnea, and fever is there. Acute cases may you can go for visualizing these signs and symptoms. Paroxysmal coughing is there, dyspnea, there is difficulty in breathing, fever is there. Some pigs they may have a discharge from the eyes and nose. Most of the pigs they recover within 6 days. Mortality it is usually low except in very young pigs or when intercurrent infection is present. Now, the economic impact of the disease is mainly attributable to the loss of weight. Economic impact, major it is because of loss in weight of the pigs. In fully susceptible herds, abortion can also occur in affected sows. So, it has also reported cases of abortion in sows. So, these were the signs and symptoms of swine flu. Very common as the respiratory tract is affected. So, these are the common signs and symptoms you can visualize. Acute cases में coughing होगा, dyspnea, fever is there. Recovery mostly तो है ही possible. Mortality भी low है except in very young pigs. Then we'll talk about the diagnosis part. Diagnosis part में sample which is suitable for virus isolation. It includes nasal mucus. Obviously, nasal mucus will be used and lung tissues from the acute cases early in the disease. Same just like that of equine influenza. दोनों ही रेस्पिरेटरी ट्रैक्ट को अफेक्ट कर रहे हैं. अगर एनिमल इज अलाइव यू कैन गो फॉर टेकिंग नेजल म्यूकस एंड इफ इट्स डेड यू कैन गो फॉर यूजिंग लंग टिश्यूज फ्रॉम after necropsy. Now, as a virus, it is labile. Transport media should be used. Virus is very fragile, heat labile, so media should be used for rapid transfer of specimens to the laboratory. अगर वायरस फ्रेजाइल होगा, लेबाइल होगा, ज़्यादा देर एनवायरनमेंट में नहीं रह सकता, तो सैम्पल जितनी देर में आप ट्रांसपोर्ट करेंगे लैब तक, it might occur that virus will die there. So specific transport media should be used for the transport of such viral specimens to the lab. Now, isolation, it should be carried out in embryonated eggs. After the incubation for 72 hours, hemagglutinating activity is demonstrable in the allantoic fluid, just like equine influenza. इसमें भी आप लोग samples ला सकते हो. Samples use करके हम can cultivate the virus in a suitable embryonated eggs or cell culture systems. Then उसके बाद we can demonstrate the virus using HI test. We can go for using HI test, hemagglutination inhibition. Then demonstration of a rise in antibody levels in paired sera samples using HI or ELISA is indicative of infection. So samples virus cultivate करने के बाद you can go for serological test like ELISA or HI. Then we can also detect viral antigen using immunofluorescence test or ELISA. Then nucleic acid detect कर सकते हैं with PCR. So these are the common tests which we can go for viral diagnosis. जब भी आपसे वायरस की डायग्नोसिस की बात करें, सबसे पहले you should need to know the samples of the disease. जब भी आप कोई डिजीज़ देखें, उसका पहले आपको पता होना चाहिए कि डिजीज़ दैट वायरस की एफिनिटी इज़ टूवर्ड विच ऑर्गन. जैसे रेस्पिरेटरी ट्रैक्ट को अफेक्ट करने वाले वायरसेस हैं, यू कैन गो फॉर टेकिंग नेजल म्यूकस. अपर रेस्पिरेटरी ट्रैक्ट के जो भी साइंस एंड सिम्टम्स होंगे, यू कैन गो फॉर टेकिंग दैट सैम्पल्स. देन वायरल सैम्पल्स को आप कल्टिवेट करते हैं यूजिंग एम्ब्रियोनेटेड एग्स, सेल कल्चर सिस्टम्स या लैब एनिमल्स में कल्टिवेट करने के बाद यू कैन go for detecting or demonstrating the viral antigens using serological tests like ELISA, hemagglutination inhibition, HI test. Then PCR is always there. You can go for detecting viral nucleic acid using PCR. So this was the diagnosis part. Now talking about the control of disease, good husbandry practices should be there. That includes the elimination of stress factors that may help to minimize the losses from swine influenza. Measures should be implemented to prevent the introduction of infection. So जो भी आप नया एनिमल ला रहे हैं, first of all it should be quarantined and should be suitably checked for any signs and symptoms for any infection. Then after that it should be introduced into the herd. Inactivated vaccines, they are available commercially. Vaccination, it can be beneficial provided that subtypes of virus incorporated in vaccines include those which are involved in the outbreaks. So जो भी subtypes आपको mostly outbreaks में मिलती हैं vaccines में, उन subtypes को incorporate करेंगे तो then only the vaccination will prove beneficial for the individuals. Then if we talk about human diseases, infection of humans with swine influenza viruses, that is common, that's relatively common, especially among the abattoir workers, and may cause respiratory disease. So those humans or those individuals which are commonly in contact with the large herds of pigs और abattoir workers, they वो ज़्यादा इन्फेक्ट होने के चांसेस हैं उनके. सो दैट मे कॉज रेस्पिरेटरी डिजीज, बट केसेस इन अदर सेटिंग्स दे आर रेयर, and person to person spread is also limited. However, the fear of another pandemic like that of 1918, it has always made the human cases the subject of public concern. So we should always take care. Mostly jo persons which are regularly in touch with these pigs or equines, they should take care of themselves, because they are mostly susceptible to such viruses. Then last May, this is the main question, whenever there is any outbreak or pandemic, इस तरह के questions mostly arise होते हैं, like if there is a pandemic or outbreak of swine influenza, the first and the foremost question arising in the minds of people is the eating pork it infects? So answer to that is no, because these viruses, they are not transmitted by food. ये मैं पहले ही आपको बता रही हूँ, क्योंकि ये क्वेश्चन मोस्टली लोगों के पहला क्वेश्चन यही आता है कि फूड बॉर्न ओरिजिन तो नहीं है इन वायरसेस का, बिकॉज you cannot get swine influenza from eating pork or pork products, because eating properly handled and cooked pork and pork products, it is totally safe, because cooking pork to an internal temperature of 160 degree Fahrenheit, it kills the swine flu viruses. I have told you that these viruses are very much labile, heat labile viruses हैं, तो food borne origin इसका possible नहीं है, because usually cooking kills the viruses, because we are heating the pork to 160 degree Fahrenheit, it kills the swine flu virus, and as it does other bacteria and viruses, so mostly they are killed. So eating pork is totally safe. Mostly direct contact है, aerosol transmission है influenza viruses की. So this was all about the orthomyxoviruses, and the two important diseases having zoonotic potential or zoonotic importances were your equine influenza and swine influenza. So next time we'll come up with another family of viruses. Till then, take care and have a nice day.